Hi everybody, today we're gonna read Charlie Needs a Cloak. Story and pictures by Ms.Dimitra. Charlie Needs a Cloak. What do you guys see on the cover of this book? I see 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I see 5 sheep. And then I see a boy over here. One of the sheep is looking at the boy. And I see the boy's wearing a hat. He's wearing something pink, maybe it could be his jacket or a sweater. But the title of our book says Charlie Needs a Cloak. So maybe he's wearing a cloak. Maybe this might be a cloak. What do you guys think this book will be about? Do you think it's gonna be about Charlie? It's gonna be about sheep? Let's read to find out. Charlie was a shepherd. He had a cozy house, a big hat, a croak, and a flock of fat sheep. But everyone said, so look, this is Charlie. And Charlie was a shepherd. That means a shepherd is someone who has sheep. And he takes them out to eat grass. So he owns sheep. So he has a cozy house. So this is his cozy house. A big hat. So he has a big hat. A croak and a flock of fat sheep. And this is his flock. A flock is a group. So he has a group over here of fat sheep. But everyone said something about Charlie. So look, these are all his sheep. He's taking them out. And look, these I think are his neighbors. This might be his neighbors. Neighbors are people who live near us. So those might be people that live near Charlie. So let's see what they're thinking. Let's see what the neighbors are saying. Poor Charlie. They're saying poor Charlie. I wonder why they're saying poor Charlie. And look, these are all of Charlie's sheep. Look, these are all of Charlie's sheep. And I think he's taking them out. Let's see. To maybe go eat some food. Let's see what happens next. He really needed a new cloak. So he really needed a new cloak. So cloak is what he's wearing. So he really needed a new cloak. Because look, his current cloak, the one that he's wearing, it looks old. It looks ruined. So he needs a new cloak. So look, he's looking at his cloak and he's probably thinking to himself that he needs a new cloak. Let's see what happens. Is he gonna buy a new cloak? Is he gonna go to the store? What do you think? Do you think he's gonna go to the store and find a new cloak to wear? Do you think he's going to make one on his own? How do you think we can create a cloak? What do you think we need to make a cloak? Do you think he needs... What materials do you think he needs? Do you think he needs tape or scissors or fabric? What type of fabric do you think he needs? Maybe he needs... Do you think he needs leather? Does he need wool? Does he need... What kind of material would he need? Let's see how he's gonna make the cloak, or let's see if he's gonna go to the store and buy it. Let's see. So in the spring, Charlie sheared his sheep. So look, in the spring, look what everyone's doing to the sheep. What do you guys notice? What do you notice about the difference? What's different about this sheep and this sheep? What's the difference between these two sheep? What's the difference? What difference do you see? What difference do you guys see? I see that these sheep have lots of fur, but these sheep do not have any fur on them. Their fur is smaller. They have smaller amounts of fur. They're not as fluffy. So look, I think the farmers, they're taking the fur off the sheep. They're taking their wool. They're taking their wool off the sheep. So why do you think the sheep have less wool? Why do you think the farmers are taking the wool off the sheep? Why do you think? Why do you think they need less wool? Maybe it's saying that it's spring, so maybe in the springtime the weather is getting warmer, so the sheep don't get warm. They remove the wool. Let's see. And I wonder what are they gonna do with all that wool that they gather from the sheep? Are they gonna create something? What can they create? What do you think they could create with all that wool? Let's see. He washed the wool. So look, he washed the wool. So Charlie's washing the wool. So he's washing the wool so it could be clean. But still, what do you think he's gonna make with all that wool? What do you think he's going to create? What do you think he's going to make? What do you guys think he's going to make? What do you guys think he's going to make with all that wool? Do you think he's going to create a jacket? Or maybe he's going to create a sweater? Or maybe a cloak? Do you think maybe he's going to create his own cloak? Instead of going to the store or buying it, maybe he's going to create his own cloak. What do you guys think he's going to do? Let's see. And carded the wool to straighten it out. So look, he's straightening out the wool. Look, here it's, so look here, it's all puffy, and here the wool is straight. It's all, look, he's hanging it up and it's nice and straight. So now he's hanging up the wool. The wool is nice and straight. So what do you think he's gonna do with all that wool? What do you think he's gonna do with it? Why do you think he needs that wool? What is the reason for Charlie to have all that wool? Do you think he's gonna create something with it? Is he going to create clothes? Is he going to create a cloak? Is he gonna give it to someone? What do you think Charlie's gonna do with all that wool? Let's see. Then Charlie spun the wool into yarn. So look, he's spinning the wool. So the next step that he has to do is spin the wool. So look, he's spinning it into yarn. Look, he's making it into yarn. Look, you like yarn. So he's making it into yarn. So he's spinning it and spinning it and spinning it and making it into yarn. I wonder, why is he making it into yarn? Why do you think he's gonna need help from others to create what he's gonna make? Do you think, look, there's 1, 2, 3, 4 yarns, so that's enough yarn for 4 people. So maybe other people are gonna help him in creating the cloak or creating his jacket or whatever he wants to make. Let's see what he's going to do next with the wool. Let's see. Charlie wanted a red cloak, so he picked some pokeweed berries during the late summer and boiled them over a fire. Then Charlie dyed the yarn red in the berry juice. So Charlie, we are learning that Charlie is making a cloak. So Charlie's making his own cloak. So since the cloak that he has now is old and has holes in it, now Charlie needs a new cloak. So he's making his own cloak. And he's picking berries. So he's picking berries from the bush. So he's picking berries from the bush. And he's boiling the berries over fire. So look, he's boiling the berries over the fire. He's boiling them. And then Charlie dyed the yarn red in the berry juice. So Charlie put the yarn in the berry juice, and the berry juice turned, what color? It turned red. So it turned the color of his of his cloak. That's the color he wanted for his cloak. So now the wool is no longer white. Now it is the color of berries. So he had to take many steps to do that. So he had to take the wool off the sheep. He had to wash the wool. He had to spin the wool. He had to straighten the wool. So now he's dyeing the wool pink because that's the color he wants the wool to be. That's the color he wants his cloak to be. So what do you think he's going to do next? What step is he going to do next? Let's see. After their yarn was dry, Charlie put the strands on the loom. So look. So now the yarn was dry. So now the yarn is dry. So now he's putting it on this machine. And I wonder what this machine is going to do. I think this machine is called the loom. So I wonder what the loom does. What do you think the loom does? What do you think this machine does to the wool? What do you think it does? What do you think the loom does to the wool? Maybe it straightens the wool even more. Maybe it breaks it up into smaller pieces. And look, one of the sheep has the wool. And look, Charlie's trying to pull it away from the sheep. So let's see what's gonna happen next. And every fall evening, he wove the yarn into cloth. So look. So now it is fall and he wove the yarn into cloth. So he's creating cloth. So he's putting the wool together and making cloth. So I wonder, look, this is a long piece of cloth. It's super long. I wonder what Charlie is going to do with that cloth. Maybe he's going to make his cloak out of it. Let's see. Charlie put the cloth on the table and cut it into pieces. So look, Charlie put the cloth on the table. He's putting it on the table and he's going to cut it into many pieces. So he's putting it on the table and he's going to cut it into many pieces. So he's going to cut it into many pieces. So I wonder how many pieces he's going to cut the cloth into. And I wonder why he needs to cut the cloth. Maybe it's too long. Look, this piece of the cloth is on the table, but this is longer. This piece cannot fit on the table. So maybe he's cutting the extra parts of the cloth. And I wonder why he's using the scissors. I wonder how many pieces he's gonna cut the cloth into. Is he gonna cut it into 2, 3, 4? I wonder how many pieces. Let's see. He pinned the pieces together. So look, he's pinning the pieces together. That means he's putting them together. So look, he cut 1, 2, 3. So he cut 3 pieces. 1, 2, 3. 3 pieces. And then he's putting these 2 pieces together. 1 and 2. And then he has a little piece left over here. So then he's still working on these 2 pieces over here. And look, the sheep is holding one of the red pieces. And look, now he's continuing to put these 2 pieces together. And the sheep has one of the pieces on its head. So I think Charlie is creating his cloak. I think he cut the fabric, the cloth, into different pieces so he can create his cloth. So I wonder if his cloth is ready or if he's gonna add more things on his cloak. Let's see if Charlie's gonna add more things on his cloak. Let's see. and sewed them. So look, Charlie is sewing the cloak together. So he's sewing the pieces together. So he's using the needle and he's sewing the different pieces together. So I wonder if Charlie is done now creating his cloak. I wonder what other steps he might need to take after he sews after he's done sewing. Let's see if he's done creating his cloak. And then when winter came, so look, now it is winter. Before it was spring, then it was summer, then it was fall, now it is winter. So now it is winter time. So look, we see all the snow on the ground, and it is winter. So it says that then when winter came, so I wonder what's gonna happen now that winter came. What do you think Charlie's gonna do now that winter came? Let's see. Charlie had a beautiful new red cloak. So look, Charlie has a beautiful new red cloak. So look, Charlie has a new cloak now. Before, his cloak was all ruined and ripped. So now he has a new red cloak and he's wearing it. So he had to do so many steps in order to create his cloak. So we saw that first he had to take the wool off the sheep. Then he had to wash the wool. Then Charlie had to straighten out the wool. Look, he had to hang it up to dry, and he straightened out the wool. Then Charlie spun the wool into yarn. He spun the wool into yarn. Then Charlie dyed the wool red, the color that he wanted, using berries. Then Charlie put the wool on the loom, on this machine. That's called the loom. He put it on the loom. Then Charlie wove the yarn into cloth. So he created the yarn. He created the yarn into cloth. He made cloth. So he made this long red piece of cloth. Then Charlie put the cloth on the table and cut it into many different pieces. He used the scissors and cut it into many different pieces. Then Charlie put the pieces together. He cut the pieces and then he put the pieces together. So then Charlie was sewing the pieces. So then look, here Charlie is sewing the pieces together. And then Charlie has his cloak and it's ready for him to wear. So look, he had to do many different steps in order to create his cloak. The end.